As I'm nearing 99 woodcutting, I decided to do a general review of the skill and its current state in the game and why I do it. I woodcut much like I play much of OSRS, while doing something else on the side. I started the long grind for woodcutting for something to do while editing my podcast. It doesn't require a ton of attention compared to Slayer or Hunter, but still generated some decent cash when compared to fishing, my first 99. The other goal I had in mind was just to get some cash. I felt I was losing a good amount of time to not having better combat gear or training Bible skills and really wanted to buckle down, get a good base going so I could invest and take my character up a few levels. Much of the early levels of woodcutting are pretty hard to remember. You can get through them easily with quests and small sections of grinding hidden by quickly achievable goals, and it was easy to get levels when I was focused on these greater goals of quests and money making, and the levels were just a nice small addition I didn't really pay attention to. The first big instance of woodcutting becoming a thing is when you move on to the willows in Draenor or similar. Until then, woodcutting was just something I would do on oaks or normal trees anywhere. Early on in my account, I would just buy an axe from a shop and chop a few local trees for some extra cash if I needed some. But getting to the willows was when you really start grinding the skill. You follow this path through the rest of the way to 99 as you see fit, moving up to maples, yews, magics, and so on. If you are a member, you get one big question to answer in this range though, whether you want to go for the lumberjack outfit. It's this single skilling outfit that if you get the whole suit provides a small bonus of XP, about 5% or so, and at the time of posting, it isn't actually required for any clues or anything else, so it's just solely for the XP. Overall consensus is that it isn't really worth it unless going for some post 99 skilling, but I opted to pick it up and recommend it as a nice way to take some time away from woodcutting while still making progress on it. I think woodcutting is definitely polarizing to much of the OSRS fanbase. Talking to other players around cutting trees, most fall into two separate categories. Either woodcutting to you is a nice, relaxing grind, something you can do while you chat with your friends. Or it's this terrible grind that requires way more attention than you want and just gives you these terrible low GP rates. Personally, I'm more the first one, but I do understand the other people's points. I am in a great position to grind something like woodcutting while I edit, while I iron, while I clean my apartment, but I recognize that if you are someone who has limited playtime, woodcutting may be one of the absolute worst ways for a player to spend it. Another small quirk of woodcutting is the birds' nests that fall to the ground similar to a random event. They have a very short timer to disappear, with the devs citing them as a way to reward players that want greater rewards for investing more attention to the game, while not making it so overpowered in terms of GP for the people who are still doing a bunch of AFK stuff. Notable drops in the nests are rings, clue scrolls, and common to rare seeds. I'll admit that until I did some bank scraping because I was low on cash, I didn't notice that the real loot from the nests is often the nest itself, not the loot inside of it. The nests, I guess, sell for really decent prices due to being needed for high level combat potions, so that was a pretty cool find when I actually realized I was sitting on way more money than I realized. If I had to pick a negative of woodcutting besides those described, I think what it lacks mostly is just some kind of higher attention minigame, similar to blast mining versus motherlode mine or blast furnace versus regular smelting. There's definitely a demand from players. You can see it with those who are willing to work hard to do perfect tick cuts using spells and NPCs for an extra edge. And while I personally like the AFK options for the skills, it would be kind of nice to take a break every once in a while like I did with the lumberjack outfit and still progress it, but do something other than just clicking trees for now. Like maybe some kind of, I don't know, sawmill game that gives you boards or something that might help out Iron Man. I don't know, something like that. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the skill's pet. I like the idea of the beaver. It's a solid looking pet. The action of grinding it isn't too bad because again, you can just AFK it. It's not that hard. And although the length can be abysmal for it, I do think it's actually a good first option for most people who want to get a pet that they haven't had before. I will say that for myself that I was not lucky enough to get the pet on my grind up to 99, which kind of sucks. I think I'll be back, but I think it is something where if you want to go for a pet and if you are like me where you want to get a nice big initial bank going, woodcutting is a very, very good option for that, and I think setting the beaver as your goal is a great incentive. Although I still don't know how I feel about the pure RNG of pets. I wish there was some kind of incentive or bonus that you got as you got higher and higher to 99. For the overall review of the skill, I just want to step through some pros and cons of this and hear your opinions on if you think this is true or completely off base. Woodcutting is AFKable, making for simple grinding for decent money at any level. But at the same time, it is rarely the best option for a player to be doing at any point in their game. It's a great way to get some early game money making out of the way, or get over a large initial investment for some of the larger armor sets needed for high level PvP or PvM if you intend to max work out eventually. But it's not really something you want to be doing all that much over the scope of your entire account. It isn't a skill likely in the path for several updates in the future either, so while I think it's actually fairly well fleshed out and developed now, especially after the recent release of the Lumberjack Woodcutting Guilds, it's not something I think we'll see a lot of updates coming in the future. Like, I would love to see a minigame and some kind of alternate source of XP, but I think those are pretty far off. While time consuming, the pet isn't difficult to get, making a great first pet for a newer player. Other than the pet though, the skill offers very little other than just mediocre cash post 99 unless going for max XP in the skill. And I always dislike that. Like, I look at some of the best skills that people love are stuff like Slayer, where you're not doing it because you want to grind, you're doing it because it's kind of fun and interesting anyway, and I would love to see Woodcutting get up there, even though I think that's way far off in the game's future. Hey, I'm Grant. I make these little on the Rune discussion videos every Friday in my spare time with my views as a more casual player of OSRS. I'd love to hear your opinion, even if you completely disagree with any of the points in this little review. But hope to see you around the channel and hear your opinion. Thanks for watching.